أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله ولا نشرك به شيئا ولا يتخذ بعضنا بعضا أربابا من دون الله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. If we examine the holy verses of the Quran, we see that in several verses, at least in 7 or 8 instances, the Quran begins the verse by stating, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ. Say, O the people of the book. The Quran encourages Rasulullah to open a dialogue with the people of the book, with Christians and Jews. This is what we mean by people of the book. Speak to them. Have a dialogue with them. قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ. The Quran is inviting Rasulullah to open a channel with people of other faiths. Not to live in his own bubble or in the Muslim bubble. No, speak to people of other faiths, of other religions. Have a debate with them, sit with them, discuss what you have in common, discuss what you have, what your differences, in several instances. This verse is very special, the verse that I began with. Why? Because Allah tells Rasulullah that tell the people of the book. And by the way, this concept of people of the book, it's a very interesting concept. Instead of calling them kuffar or non-believers, no, call them people of the book. That means I have a book and you have a book. And the origin is one. Our books are from Allah. That means we have something in common. You have the Torah, you Jews have the Torah, you Christians have the Injil, and we Muslims have the Quran. We have something in common. We all have divine books. قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا أَلَّا نَعْبُدَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Come and let's agree upon not worshipping anyone other than Allah Azza wa Jal. وَلَا يَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُنَا وَلَا نُشْرِكَ بِهِ شَيْئًا. And we don't take partners with Allah. وَلَا يَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُنَا بَعْضًا أَرْبَابًا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. We should not worship anyone other than Allah. And these are set principles in Judaism, in Christianity, and in Islam. God is one. He has no partners. No one else other than God is deserving of worship. These are commonalities. You see, Allah tells His Prophet that when you sit with Jews and Christians, discuss what you have in common. Don't discuss your differences. Start off with them, telling them that, listen, we worship the same God. We both have books. We're not polytheists. We don't ascribe partners to God. We have something in common. Let's address our commonalities first and not our differences. This is the first point of dialogue, interfaith dialogue. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The Quran also says that those who have another faith, those who practice another religion, and they do not fight you, nor do they drive you out of your homes, then be kind to them. Show them kindness. Show them benevolence. Be just with them. لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين وَلَمْ يُخْرِجُوكُم مِّن دِيَارِكُمْ أَن تَبَرُّوهُم وَتُقْسِطُوا إِلَيْهِمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. Those who did not fight you, those who did not drive you out of your homes from other schools of thought, from other religions, be kind to them. Be benevolent to them. Show them kindness. This is in the Quran. One day, alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. One day, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam passed by with his companions. He passed by a church. He passed by a Christian church. One of his companions, he said, طالما أشرك بالله في هذا المكان. This place, God has been disrespected and has been taken as a partner in this place. God has been disrespected in this house. Amir al-Mu'mineen said, no, you're incorrect. What you said is not correct. Rather say, طالما عبد الله في هذا المكان وفي هذا البيت. Say that Allah has been worshipped in this house. Allah has been respected in this house. See, this is a church. This is a church. Islam has respect for churches, for synagogues. These are all homes of God, houses of God. As long as Allah is being worshipped and remembered, it's a house of God, whether it's a church or a synagogue or a masjid. Allah in the Quran says, وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَهُدِّمَتْ صَوَامِعُ وَبِيَعُ وَصَلَوَاتٌ وَمَسَاجِدُ يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُهُ. يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُهُ كَثِيرًا. That if it was not for Allah's protection, synagogues, churches, temples, and mosques would have been destroyed. What are these places? These are places that Allah has been remembered numerously. وَصَلَوَاتٌ وَمَسَاجِدُ يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا. Islam shows respect for members of other religions, for Christians, for Jews, for all religions. Islam has respect. Islam has respect for a house of worship, whether it's a masjid or a church or a synagogue or a temple. Did we not see in Iraq recently when ISIS destroyed churches in Mosul and in northern parts of Iraq? We saw the Popular Mobilization Unit, PMUs, or known as Al-Hashd al-Sha'bi. Did we not see them help their Christian brothers rebuild their churches? We saw this under the guidance of the top marja', Ayatollah Sayyid al-Sistani. We call for coexistence. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. My dear friends, we all know that the image of Islam has been ruined for the past couple of years, thanks to ISIS and Al-Qaeda and terrorist groups who have ruined the image of Islam and the name of Islam. Today, a lot of people equate the name of Islam to violence, to terrorism, to beheadings, to sex slaves, to stoning. When they hear of the word Sharia law, they think Sharia law is something violent. All they know about Islam is that Islam is a religion that calls for stoning, for violence. This is the image that exists in the minds of Westerners regarding Islam. What do we do? What do we do about this? The first step, my dear friends, part of Islamic activism in the West, the first step is to engage in interfaith dialogue. Interfaith dialogue. What do we mean by interfaith dialogue? What do I mean by this? This means that we engage in conversations with people of other religions, Christians, Jews, even Buddhists, even Hindus, all religions. We engage in dialogue with them. We open a channel with them. We go and we visit them in their churches and synagogues and temples, and we invite them to come and visit us at our mosques and at our Islamic centers. We welcome them. Our mosques have to be friendly towards non-Muslims, especially Christians and Jews. Let's open our mosques. This is interfaith. Why? And what is the goal of interfaith? The goal of interfaith dialogue is to understand one another, is to come, sit together, like the Quran says, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء. Let's sit together. Let's discuss what we have in common. Before we discuss our differences, let's discuss what we have in common. We are all part of the Abrahamic faiths. We all go back to Abraham. We accept Prophet Abraham, and so do Christians, and so do Jews. We believe in the same God. We believe in the same prophets. They accept Moses and we accept Moses. They believe in Jesus, we accept Jesus. They believe in Noah and in Abraham and in Ismail and Ishaq and all these prophets. We accept them as well. Our differences are minor. What we have in common is major. Let's talk about what we have in common. This will help them understand us and we understand them. This will clarify all the misconceptions regarding Islam. All it takes is to sit down and talk. The point of interfaith dialogue, my dear friends, it's not to try to convert anyone. No. When we go to their churches and we invite them to come to our church, the point of interfaith dialogue is not conversion. We're not trying to convert anyone. No. We want to, if they convert, that's a plus. They like to accept Islam and embrace Islam. That's perfectly fine. We will welcome them with open arms. But our number one objective is for them to understand Islam. Let them understand us. Let them understand that Islam is not a violent religion. That Sharia law, this is a term that has been misused in the media by right-wing media and conservative politicians only to scare their citizens from Islam. Sharia law means to pray, to fast, to go to Hajj. It means how to eat. It means how to marry. It means how to divorce. And yes, a part of it is the penal system. The penal system, the penal code in Islam. This is only a part of Sharia law. There's a major part to Sharia law that people don't know about. Let them understand us. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. There are already existing experiences of interfaith dialogue that has been done here in the West. In America, in Southern California, there's a good experience of interfaith dialogue. Some of our religious leaders and scholars have engaged with Christians and Jews and people of other faiths. They visited their houses of worship and they've invited them to our mosques and our centers and Husseinias. In Dearborn, Michigan, there's a wonderful experience. In London, in the UK, there's an initiative called the Big Iftar. It occurs in the month of Ramadan. While they hold an iftar and they invite Christians and Jews and other members from other religions. And it draws people to Islam. They sit and eat together. They socialize. Sometimes they joke and they use humor, but it brings them together. It brings them together. These are wonderful initiatives. In fact, I know one Islamic center, after the election of a specific president that you all know, this mosque received hundreds, or not hundreds, maybe tens of letters telling them that close your mosque and pack your bags and go back home. Go back home. You don't belong in this country any longer. This mosque, they took pictures of these letters and they posted it on their social media. The next day, thousands of Christians and Jews from the interfaith community, they were standing outside of their mosque, holding signs of support that we are with you, that you Muslims, you belong in America. This is your home. The same way that it's our home, it's your home as well. See, this is the result of interfaith. When you stand with them at the time of need, they will stand with you at the time of need. This is how we develop peace and harmony with other religions, with other followers. And this is what we need today, my dear friends. If we want to serve Islam, we have to engage in interfaith dialogue. Let's open our mosques. Let's open our Islamic centers and Husseiniya. Let's have one night every month, an open house night. Invite your neighbors. Most of you have non-Muslim neighbors. You have a Christian neighbor or a Jewish neighbor. Invite them to your local Islamic center. Invite them. Bring them food. Sit with them. Show them the true meaning of Islam. Show them what Muslims are all about. We're peaceful people. We're law-abiding citizens. We want to live. We want to live the American dream and the Canadian dream just like them. There's no difference between us. And we have to visit them as well. Let's visit churches and synagogues and temples. We exchange visits and we have dialogue in order to understand one another. This is the only way, my dear friends. And when you go to them, tell them that ISIS does not represent us. Islam has nothing to do with ISIS. In fact, I tell a lot of my non-Muslims friends this. My American friends, or wherever I sit with American friends or non-Muslim friends, and I talk to them about ISIS, I tell them, listen, if an ISIS member were to see me and you, a non-Muslim, were to see us and wanted to kill us, he will start off with me first, not you. That because the number one victims of ISIS and terrorism are Muslims themselves. They're Muslims themselves. ISIS started killing Muslims before they started killing non-Muslims. We are the first victims. So what does that tell you? Are ISIS genuine Muslims? No, they're not. They don't represent Muslims. They are a small faction from the Wahhabi school of thought. They don't represent others. We need to make this known to everyone that Wahhabism does not represent Islam. And it does not represent Muslims. These are an extremist group funded by specific countries, and they are the ones carrying out terrorist attacks. And fortunately, some of our countries here in the West, they support them. We have to make this known. As for the victims of ISIS, Muslims were the first victims of ISIS. The first victims of ISIS mentality and ideology was the Prophet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Hossein alayhi salam. He was a victim of what? Of ISIS mentality. Of ISIS mentality. Umar bin Sa'ad receives a letter. Shaykh al-Mufid in his book Al-Irshad, he mentions this. He says that Umar bin Sa'ad, when he arrived to Karbala, he received a letter from Yazid telling him that you have to murder Al-Hussein ibn Ali. And once you kill him, chop his body into pieces. وَتُمَثِّلْ بِهِ. You cut him into pieces. Isn't this ISIS mentality? An ISIS ideology? This existed 1,400 years ago. One of the reasons why we commemorate Muharram and Ashura, these 10 nights, when we come together, this is a sign of condemnation of ISIS. When we condemn Yazid and the army of Yazid, we're actually condemning whom? ISIS. An ISIS mentality. Let's tell the world. We come together and we say this to each other. It only has so much effect. Let's make the world known. To the interfaith community, let's let them know that ISIS does not represent us. That we are the first victims of ISIS. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.